Season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's so nice living in Las Vegas. You know, I'm walking outside. I could be wearing sandals. It's not too cold out there, and in a good mood this morning. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm going to be talking sports today, and I don't have to argue with people about politics. It gets kind of old after a while, and we're going to have some fun today. You know, coming up in hour number 2, we got this new professional lacrosse team called the Desert Dogs. Wayne Gretzky, Steve Nash, the owner of the Nets, and Dustin Johnson are owners. And the head coach is Sean Williams. He's going to be joining us in hour number 2. Also, we've got some UNLV football news. Guess who the new offensive coordinator is for UNLV football? Bobby Petrino. So we have UNLV's head football coach, Barry Odom, is going to be joining us in hour number 2. They just hired him a week ago. So really looking forward to that. I love talking to guys that have played in the NBA veterans, talking hoops, because basketball's always been a passion of mine. Anybody who knows me knows that. And, you know, the guy we have with us in the studio right now, he coached a team back when I was 13 years old. It was the CBA called the Hartford Hellcats. And this guy has had a nice 13-year NBA career. He had some great years with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's guarded some of the best players to ever play the game. He's been coaching for 25 years, and now he calls Las Vegas his home. Of course, I'm talking about Paul McKeskey. They call him Mo, the 7-footer, joining me in studio right now. Paul, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me on. I hear the list of guests you got coming in here. I'm honored to be included in that.
Well, I don't know about that.
That's big time.
Well, I know you heard my Roger Stone interview the other day. Would you call him big time? I don't know.
He's big time in another world, I guess.
So I have to show this first to our. When you see this picture of a young Paul McKeskey with the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't want to use the term porn stash, but I guess I just did. What do you think of when you look at this picture of you?
I think of what was I thinking, and then the other thing is I think of why did my wife marry me with that? We've been married for 41 years. So.
I love it. So you had an opportunity. Your dad went to Gonzaga, right?
Yes.
You had an opportunity to go to Gonzaga. Obviously, this is way before. You look at all the success Gonzaga's had with under Mark Few, particularly. It's unbelievable. But you chose to go to Kansas. Why?
Well, I was back then. It was a different. There was an AAU, but you know, I was one of the top 50 players in the country. I got scholarships from everywhere, offers, and I took a visit to Arizona State. I went to Kansas, obviously, Washington State. George Raveling was there, the great coach, and then I went to Gonzaga, kind of to honor my dad to see. But back then, it's still a small mid-level program, but there it was a small program. Mm-hmm. And visited UCLA and USC, and quite frankly, I tell this story that I grew up a UCLA fan. I watched Lou Alcindor, then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton, John Wooden. I grew up watching their tape delay games every Friday night at 11 o'clock, mm-hmm. you know, if they played in Washington or whatever. And you know, everyone in California, Southern California said, you know, I'm a 7-footer. I'm going there. That's where you need to go. But when I visited there, it was in Westwood, which is, you know, affluent, money. And I didn't grow up with money. Mm-hmm. My dad was an accountant. My mom cleaned houses for people. You know, I didn't have money, didn't have a nice car. And, you know, and I just didn't feel like I fit in there. When I went to Kansas, it's like if you close your eyes and picture the college campus, that's what it is. You know, everybody thinks Kansas is all flat, but Lawrence is not. There's hills, there's grass, brick buildings, ivy coming down, and then to top it all off, you go walk in the Allen Fieldhouse, the house that Wilt Chamberlain built.
Right.
and I was the first 7-footer back to Kansas since Wilt.
That's incredible.
Wow. I was just
that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but I was overwhelmed with how nice people were, Midwest people.
They're very nice people.
I'm more of a. I grew up in California, Southern
Yep.
California, but
Yep.
I'm more of a Midwest guy, and that
Right.
really showed. But I tell the story that, quite frankly, John Wooden retired my senior year in high school. So Gene Bartow took over that program. He was the assistant coach. And I still have the letter of intent from UCLA. I framed
You still kept it.
I still kept it because I think if John Wooden would have came in my living room and offered me that scholarship, I would have signed that.
You would have. At what age did you say to yourself, okay, I can make a living doing this?
I think, like, I talked to a lot of kids. I've coached for a lot of, I've coached in the NBA. I've coached in college. I've coached prep schools. And, a lot of kids now, they're 8 years old. I'm going to play in the NBA. Yeah. That's not what I was like.
That's bad parenting too, I think.
Well, I think it's the society too. But,
yeah.
When I first started playing, I played since I was a little kid. I had a basketball in my hand, but, I wasn't that great. And in 7th grade, I was made the 7th and 8th grade team, but I hardly played. And then in 8th grade, I grew to 6'2", I think.
You're 6'2" in 8th grade.
But I had my coach I went to a Christian school, and my coach was Father Davis. And Father Davis was that cool priest. Rode a motorcycle, leather jacket, and played basketball.
Oh, I love that.
I'm like, man. So he started training me. Not most guys, when you're 6'2" in 8th grade, you're just going to plant in the post and just stand there. And it's not like it is today. He had me doing ball handling drills and all that stuff.
Really?
But still, I was just trying to make the team.
Right.
Then I went to high school at Crespi High School in Encino, California, and all the great players from around that area, which there were a lot of them, went to Crespi. And we were undefeated our freshman year. Our junior year, we lost 5 our freshman year, sophomore year, undefeated. Junior year, we lost 5, and then senior year, we lost 2. But even back then, even freshman, sophomore year, I was just trying to be the best player I could be and go on the floor again. My class in Southern California, Bill Cartwright, you had in there, Bill Lambier, David Greenwood, Roy Hamilton, Reggie Theus from UNLV. There's about 3 other guys. Brad Holland, who played for the Lakers.
Sure.
We were the same class. So
what a class.
I grew up, trying to compete with those guys.
So you're just trying to be successful in high school, and then obviously a big deal for your family is you get a college scholarship to play basketball. But I would imagine freshman, sophomore year for Kansas, when you're scoring points and you're having a heck of a career, it has to enter your mind, hey, I might be able to live a dream and be an NBA basketball player, right? It has to enter your mind in college, right?
Yeah, I think going back to high school, when I started getting letters my junior year, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm pretty good.
This could work.
And my senior year, it was ridiculous, shoebox.
Everybody wanted you. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I can get a scholarship. Cool. Then I went to Kansas, which is Kansas.
Right.
And as a freshman, they had been to the Final Four the year before, I think. So I was just, trying to fit in.
Right.
But then, I got hurt my freshman year. I pulled my hamstring. Sophomore year, I broke my ankle.
Oof.
My junior year, I started coming to my own. And we lost to UCLA in the regionals. It was a TV game. Back then, there were only 2 TV games on. And I got MVP against UCLA.
Wow.
I had 18 points and 12 rebounds.
And that put you on the national map, you think?
Yeah. And then my senior year, scouts started coming, and I'm like,
that's
okay.
so cool.
Then I just wanted to get drafted and make a team and last for 10 years. That was my goal.
Yeah, well, you definitely did that. What is that day like for you, Paul, when you talk about your family, not a wealthy family, right? Not a lot of means financially. What was that day like for you and your family when you finally got that first contract? What was that like for you?
Well, it's back then, the draft wasn't like, I mean, I was back on campus. I think I had I played a softball game, drank some beer that day, and back then, I got a phone call at my apartment, that the Rockets drafted me in the 2nd round. And then I had a little party with some friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But there wasn't ESPN. We weren't walking down. I mean, it's like a prom now. They got all the family and they got, it's like, it wasn't like that. But then after that settled and I called my parents, and the Rockets faxed people out there, they faxed my contract. And it was my contract, my rookie year and 2nd year, I got a 2-year contract. $65,000 and $75,000.
Let's talk about that for a moment. I wanted to bring this up with you. If you don't mind me asking you, what was the most money you made in the NBA in 1 year?
I think 500 my second to last year.
So in the early 90s.
Yeah, but like you're talking about the 80s, so I started at 65, 75.
It's unbelievable.
Then I was making my way. I was in Detroit starting, so I got up to 85 and 100, but then I got cut by Cleveland.
Right.
So it went back down.
And you're not a guy that's sitting on the bench. You're not the 11th or 12th guy. You're a serviceable player your whole career, right? What, 5 points, 5 rebounds a game? Is that
I got cut in Cleveland. I was starting. I got cut in Cleveland when I was starting 2 days before Christmas, before I was going on a West Coast trip, because back then Ted Stepien was a crazy type owner, and he had back then only 12 players. He had 12 guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
I was starting. I was averaging, I think, 9 and 7, and my contract wasn't guaranteed, so they cut me.
Oh my God, that's right. What's amazing to me is if you're averaging, as you know, 5 points, 5 rebounds a game, you could be making $20 million a year. And here we have Paul McKeskey, who was making maybe on average, maybe 100 a year. Now I know towards the end of your career, early 90s, you're a veteran, so you're going to be making $500,000 a year. What is that? I'm just wondering what goes through your mind when you see some of these guys, 11th man, 12th man, that don't even get close to the minutes you got in the NBA, and they're making 50 times what you made. I mean, what goes through your mind when you hear about that?
We have those conversations a lot. I'm a member of the NBA Retired Players Association, which is called the Legends, and we meet every year here in Vegas for Summer League, and we have a dinner, and you get to see the old guys, Artis Gilmore's and all these guys. We get to tell stories and lie to each other, and and that subject always comes up. And for the most part, and I'm in that category, I'm happy for these young players. Get what you can, because people out there, well, they don't deserve it. You know what you deserve? What someone will pay you. That's what. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't turn it down.
I agree.
But I think it's got a little out of hand. When I was reading an article, and I was in the league when John Koncak signed his contract in Atlanta, and he was making twice as much as Dominique Wilkins. Well, then that started to make everything askew, and then people get they get different ideas, and money, they're earning their money. People have no idea what an NBA player goes through for the most part. Travel. I missed Christmases.
You weren't traveling first class in planes, right? No. You were taking trains and stuff, right?
No, we weren't taking trains. I'm not that old, but
well, I hear stories from the Boston Celtics that there were times where they would take a train from New York
to Philly
and stuff. Yeah,
but we were flying commercial. We could
just a commercial airline. You don't have your own private jet. No, you got commercial.
We were first available. If you play the next night, it's first available. So you get up at 5 a.m. You go check your bag. You go sit in the airport, and you get on that flight, and then you get in the. I was with the Dallas Mavericks for 5 years with Mark Cuban, and we get on that private jet. There's food there. We land. We go to the Four Seasons, and then it's totally different back in the day.
God, that is unbelievable. If you're just joining us, 13-year NBA veteran Paul McKeskey joining us. He's also been coaching for 25 years. Calls Las Vegas his home. Paul, during your career, you guarded some of the best players to ever play the game. Kevin McHale, to name one, right? A lot of people say Kevin McHale, one of the best, if not the best, post player in the history of the game. I think you can make the argument one of the best. Who do you think is the best player you've ever guarded? Let's just start with McHale, though. What was it like guarding a guy like that?
Well, people ask me that a lot of the time, because I guarded Kareem. I guarded those guys. And Kareem was unbelievable. That skyhook, that first game I was guarding Kareem because I grew up watching him. And it's so pretty. I was standing there watching it like, wow, that's pretty. And
this is when you were with the Bucks?
Yeah. And my teammate said, hey, Mo, you got to guard him. But
you're 7 feet tall, and you can't even get anywhere near that shot.
And you knew he was going to turn left shoulder, so I tried to push him the other way.
Yeah.
And he might dunk it or he might travel. But I knew what he was going to do. The two hardest guys that I had to guard were Kevin McHale and Moses Malone. And part of it was their talent, but a lot of it was their you didn't know what they were going to do. They did crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They would go up and under and around. I was guarding Moses one time, and he had his back to me. The basket's behind me. I'm guarding him. He threw it over his shoulder like this, spun around me, and got it and laid it in. Like, who does that? No one does that. So they were harder to guard because they were unpredictable.
Does a guy like Kevin McHale trash talk at all? Like, let me ask you this better question. You're in the league for 13 years. Who were some of the biggest trash talkers that you had to deal with? Like,
well, and it was a little different back then because if you trash talked, you had to back it up, not by scoring, but physically. I mean, there were, if it got into it, you're going to get in a fight, like a real fight, not like, push and hold me back fight, not one of those. You're going to really go at it. So, and you had to back it up. Like Larry Bird was one of the most well-known trash talkers. He never talked trash to me that much because he knew I didn't care and I'd foul him really hard. But
did you ever do that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So give me an example of a game you're playing. Obviously, you're not guarding Larry Bird, but if there's a switch,
I guarded Larry Bird.
You at 7 feet tall?
Absolutely.
They had you guard Larry Bird?
Well, because
you're a center, though. I don't understand.
Yeah, but you got Kevin McHale, you got Parrish, and you got Bird.
You got to guard
6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. So, with me.
So there were games where we're not talking about a switch with a pick and roll. No. We're talking about you were assigned to guard Larry Bird.
Sure. If we wanted to say, Terry Cummings, 6'9", strong guy, we're going to put him on Parrish.
I got you.
We'll put him on Parrish. And guess what? We're not going to waste any of his fouls because he's got to score. I can foul Bird.
So Bird would say the guy that would be guarding him when he was having a good night, which was many nights, I got this guy in the torture chamber, right? Oh, yeah. Did you ever feel like you were in the torture chamber when you were guarding Larry Bird?
If he was out on the floor and they cleared the side, absolutely, especially in the Boston Garden, and everyone's going, oh, here it comes.
Can you just explain to people what that's like? I mean, you're obviously a hell of a career. What is it like to be guarding one of the best players to ever play the game in Larry Bird, who I idolized my whole life, in the Boston Garden? What is that like?
It's really, to me, it's like highlights. I mean, we had Game 7s in the Boston Garden. I mean, that place was just, the floor was terrible, by the way. If you dove on the floor there, you're going to get scraped by a screw or some piece of wood sticking out. But the ambiance in there and the fans who were rowdy and crazy and said crazy stuff. I know Draymond Green had someone kicked out in Milwaukee for saying something. Hell, we would have had to kick out the whole Boston stands if we kicked them out for saying stuff. But
what do you think is like the worst? PG-13, obviously FCC, but what do you think is an example of like some of the worst things that people would say to you at the Boston Garden?
Oh, I mean, and this is just a tone down, but like, I forget with Indiana or somewhere, and even in warm-ups, this guy is just screaming at me. He's got 2 beers in his hand, and he's like, "Hey, McCaskey, you don't belong in the league anymore. You're too old." And I just looked at him, hey, shut up, drink your beer, and pay my salary.
That's the best answer. I love it.
Yeah. Let's go back to Bird.
Sure.
So here's one of the 2 things that I remember about Bird for really big. Number one, we were playing him in a series one year, and we won in Boston. And Paul Pressey, who was about 6'6", he was really one of the first point forwards in the league. He 6'6", really long, played at Tulsa, good defender. Well, we had a good game when we beat Boston in Game 3 or something, or 4, I can't remember. And somebody, allegedly Don Nelson, our coach, said something that Bird, Press did a great job on Bird. Well, hell, she had 28. I mean, great job. But and the writer wrote in the paper the next day, Paul Pressey, Bird stopper. That was headlines in the paper.
He scored 28 points.
Yeah, but
which I guess is good back then, but he still scored 28.
So the next game, all I heard from Bird was, Pressey can't stop me. There ain't no Bird stopper. And at one point, I'm actually on the bench, and he's standing at the 3-point line, and he looks at Nelly and says, Pressey, he can't stop me. I'm going to come down next time. I'm going to shoot a 3 at this spot right here, and he can't guard me. And he did it. And looked at Nelly and said, I told you he ain't no Bird stopper. I think he had like 40 or something. But and then the other one was, we were playing in another playoff series, and we were playing in Milwaukee, and the game was tied with about 8 seconds left. And that's the time where, if you're a coach, you say, give the ball to Bird and get the hell out of the way, right. If it's Bird or Jordan or whoever. So they did that. And in our home, he shot a 3 in the deep corner. And back then, the Mecca was the old arena. So the locker rooms, the stands are here, and you just go off the court into your locker room, kind of, So he shot it, and when midair, he just left. He went down into the stands. He left. And of course, buzzer goes off, it swishes, so they win the game. But I'm thinking if
he releases the ball halfway before it even goes.
But if he misses, he has to come back out on the court with all these fans booing him and play in overtime. So I'm like, that's ridiculous. But years later, I was playing golf with Mikhail, and we shared that story. And he goes, I remember that game. And here's the kicker. So after he did that, and we finally got off the floor in the locker room, he had already taken a shower, had a beer in his hand, said, "Hey guys, where you been?"
Yeah, I've heard a lot of other players tell stories like that, where he would say, like Xavier McDaniel said, well, we had 3 seconds left to go. Bird looks at me and he goes, I'm going to get the ball right here. I'm going to shoot it right here. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, we've never had a player like that. I mean, we've had a lot of players that trash talk, but never a guy that would say, here's our play. I'm going to shoot the ball right here, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And you know what, though? It was if it was stirred up by somebody usually. He usually didn't initiate it or start it. It was like, when it was stirred up, and because he respected us as pros too.
Right.
I mean, I played in the league for 12 years. I played against some of the greats, but I'm not stupid. I'm not Larry Bird, but guys like Larry Bird or Dr. J, they treated guys like us like equals.
What did you make of a guy like a Bill Laimbeer? Because, he used to coach here, the Aces, and I've interviewed him a number of times. And I said to him, if Larry Bird was sitting at a dinner table and he invited you to sit next to him, would you? And he said no. And anytime I brought up Larry Bird, he would just get so grumpy. That would usually be the end of the interview. Like, there are certain guys where they really hated each other, right? Laimbeer and Bird hated each other. Did you have any guys like that you played against that you said, I just hate this guy?
Not really. I mean, I was talking to Mike Gaminsky, a great player for Philly and New Jersey, and Mokeski and Gaminsky. We were two of the only skis in the NBA, and we would beat the crap out of each other on the floor, and then afterwards go out to dinner and have a couple beers. So,
that's cool.
But there were guys like that that hold grudges. I mean, Bill Laimbeer is notorious. He went to Palos Verdes High School. He's the same age as me. We played against each other in the summer. The finals my senior year, it was Palos Verdes, Laimbeer's team against David Greenwood's Verban Day team. David Greenwood, Roy Hamilton, 2 first-round picks. And then my team played Reggie Theus's team in the Final Four at the sports arena. It was full.
Wow.
And but we played against each other in the summer. And, was there bad blood? Sure, because we guard each other. We were both physical guys and all that, but I didn't hate him, but there are guys that hated him, and but he used that. That's what his whole shtick was, and he knew that if he's going to be an impactful player, he's going to use everything emotionally, physically, and mentally to get that edge. And you know what? Whether you agree with it or not, it freaking worked.
Of course,
he won championships.
Absolutely. So Paul,
wait,
yep.
I was traded for him, by the way.
Oh, you were? I didn't know that.
So
I didn't know that.
I was traded. It was myself and Phil Ford were traded from Detroit to Cleveland for Bill Laimbeer and Kenny Carr.
I never knew that. Bill Laimbeer did a great job coaching, certainly here with the Aces. He left it for Becky Hammond. They just won the championship. I think Bill Laimbeer, good coach.
Absolutely.
Good coach. So it's very difficult to compare eras. It's a very difficult thing to do. But my opinion, and maybe I'm a little old school when I talk like this, but I feel like your era, the late 80s particularly, were the best in the NBA as far as real rivalries, right? Chicago, Detroit, Boston, LA. I'm not sure we have anything close to that today. I feel like back then, while it was nice to be getting good paychecks back then, I think most of the players, it wasn't really about the money. It was about winning. And I just feel like today, listen, there are guys in the NBA and, they're killers and all they care about is winning. There's no question. I just don't think there's as many of them as there were back in the 80s. What do you think about that era when people try to compare it to now? Because I just feel like that was the purest of the NBA.
Well, I think it was a volatile, because the NBA in the 70s was very volatile with drugs and reputations. And the reputation of the league wasn't very good. And then Bird and Magic came in with David Stern and switched that all around. And the 80s, in my opinion, were the glory years that really had that switch. But a lot of the rivalries back then, that can't be done now because players change teams, like they change a hat. It's like, back then could you imagine Michael Jordan in a Detroit Piston uniform
Right.
or
Magic
Johnson
going to Boston?
Yeah, it just
it would
didn't
never happen, right, Paul? What do you make of a guy like a Kevin Durant who goes to the Golden State Warriors? His rivalry, by the way, they couldn't, Oklahoma, they couldn't beat him, and then he goes over there, and a lot of people say the Golden State Warriors would have won a championship probably without him. Do you put an asterisk next to that championship? Does he lose a little bit of respect from a player like you, a former player like you? How do you see these guys that go to these teams?
Well, at this point, it's such big business. You got to do what's best for you. And quite frankly, Kevin, he was set financially after 5 years in the league, right? So what do you want out of your life? Do you want more money? How much is too much money? I mean, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. How much is too much money? And, well, I wish I had a ring. I was close a couple times, but,
right.
That's the driving force. Now, you can argue, do you give up one team and go to another one for your best chance to get a ring? But that's been done for a while.
Right.
I remember a few years, well, more than a few years, sorry. Karl Malone and Eddie and Peyton playing for the Lakers when they tried to go get a ring, and it didn't work.
I just had Karl Malone on the show a few months ago, and I asked Karl, I said, if Michael Jordan didn't exist, how many championships do you think you have? And he gave me a very interesting answer. He said, probably none. I don't think like that. He didn't think like that. He doesn't hold grudges, and he's just like, listen, it didn't happen. But I personally believe if not for Michael Jordan, there'd be a lot of guys out there like John Stockton and other guys that would have rings.
Probably one at least.
Yeah, at least, right? Yeah.
But I mean, if there wasn't for Magic Johnson and Kareem and in Boston,
yeah,
I'd have a ring.
Here's Paul. That's probably true. You had some good years in Milwaukee. All right, so we're joined by great NBA career, Paul McCaskey. He's been coaching for a long time. Here's what I want to ask him when we come back. We're going to take a break. I want to ask him who his top 5 players are of all time, and I always get different answers from different people. So I'm going to ask him that, and I want to dive a little bit into your coaching career, and we'll get into that as well. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this with Paul McCaskey. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey, everybody. It's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
A great time! Your entertainment destination, the South Point, invites you to experience the ultimate great time under one roof. Bowling, dancing, a live show, a movie, delicious dining, and one of South Point's 11 restaurants. So much to see, so much to do. You won't know where to start first. This week, make it a South Point week and discover for yourself why the South Point is your entertainment destination for a great time.
Best of Las Vegas winners each of the last 2 years. Glazed Donuts is a family business. Taste the passion and quality in each delectable handmade donut. Experience amazing fresh donuts at Glazed Donuts, located at 6545 South Fort Apache Road on the southwest corner of Sunset. Glaze is open every day from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're interested in large orders, please call them at 702-246-2888. Follow Glaze on Facebook and Instagram, where they're showing off all their delicious treats. And check them out at glazedonutslv.com.
The T.C. Martin Show, weekday afternoons at 2 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.gov.
Experience the Artisan Hotel's themed suites, restaurant, bar, pool, and complimentary valet. During the week, the Artisan is a quiet Las Vegas retreat that's great for travelers and locals. The weekend is all about nonstop partying and the award-winning Artisan nightlife. All rooms include free gym access and Wi-Fi. The Artisan Hotel is centrally located between the Strip and downtown Las Vegas. Book your stay at artisanhotel.com. The Artisan Hotel, your unique Las Vegas boutique hotel.
All right, welcome back to this Pushing the Limit on a Thursday. That's what day is today. Sometimes I forget. I want to tell you guys about my favorite gaming bar in town, Jackson's Bar and Grill. I was over there the other day. I hit a straight flush, Mark. Can you believe that? Just straight flush. Every Sunday, earn 200 points, get $50 free play. Mondays, earn 200 points, get a free bottle of wine. That's pretty cool. Tuesdays, 10 times points all day. Some restrictions apply. My favorite gaming bar in town, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Check them out. As I mentioned, we got a couple of coaches. Besides Paul McKeskey, who's been coaching for 25 years, we got the head coach of UNLV football, Barry Odom, in hour number 2 coming up, and new lacrosse team owned by Wayne Gretzky, Dustin Johnson, and Steve Nash. The head coach Sean Williams will be joining us later on, but we got Mo, as they call him, the 7-footer. How annoying is that? Your whole life, right? People, oh my God, how tall are you? I mean, that's annoying, right?
Yeah, you know, the most, some people someone will ask me, hey, how tall are you? I'll say, no, you're not. Like, first of all, why do you ask me if you know? And second of all, how do you know? And I don't know.
What is it like living a life as 7 feet? It's like cars and seats and things are not designed for people like you.
No, I mean, you can't, if I can't really fly unless I'm an emergency exit or something like that, because I can't afford first class. So, and you got to think about that stuff. Like we're going back to Lawrence, Kansas for the 125-year anniversary of Kansas basketball in January. And we're renting a vehicle, and I can't rent a regular car we're in the truck. So, yeah, but you got to think about all
Crazy.
that stuff.
You got that's got to be a pain in the butt. But by now you're obviously used to it. All right, so I want to get into coaching a little bit in this era, but before I do, I have to ask you this question, and I'll give you my quick top 5. I want to know your 5 best players of all time. I go Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan number 1, of course. I'm missing Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I might throw in Larry Bird in there, and then the 5th one. I'm not a LeBron guy. I go Kobe Bryant. Those would probably be my top.
I'm going to throw that to the streets. Number 1 on my list by far, not even close. Will Chamberlain.
Over Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
Really?
Because if you're talking about the GOAT, right? You're talking about an individual, not a team, right?
Yeah.
Individual.
Mm-hmm.
So he still owns 30 records in the NBA that will never be broken.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged 50 points a game, 30 rebounds in a game.
You put him over Kareem.
Absolutely.
And you
just for that, look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And he won 2 championships. But if it's about championships, then it's Bill Russell because he had 11, right? But if it's individual, no one impacted the game more than Wilt Chamberlain. No one has the numbers. Scored 100 points. I think I was looking at points scored in the NBA 60 or more. He scored 60 or more points 250 times. All the other players combined did it like 80 times.
So probably definitely the most dominant player. But you're saying all round, you think Wilt Chamberlain, you would put him over Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's interesting.
7'1", 300 pounds, can score 100 points in a game. If they held block shots back then, they didn't count. He would have the record.
You ever speak to Wilt?
I played against him.
You played against him, but did you ever have a little bit of a friend?
But I want to go back to the numbers. So
yeah,
and then he's the only center ever in the NBA to lead the league in assists.
That is pretty incredible.
It's the only one, and
you guarded him, so you would know.
He's a high jumper.
Yeah,
he played professional volleyball indoor and outdoor, and individually you can't argue with his numbers. Now, if you go down that list, I put Wilt at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I have MJ as number 2.
You ever have to guard MJ? Like, I know it was towards the end of your career.
Yeah,
what was that like?
I mean, he's 6'9". People don't know he's 6'9" and handles the ball. And then I would put probably Kareem. So that's 3, right?
Oh, I got 2 right so far.
Man, that's I always go.
You don't think Kobe is in the conversation?
I think LeBron's numbers are better than Kobe's.
Really?
I think so.
All right, so here, tell me what you think about this, because you're a pretty great basketball mind, and clearly I'm not. But I look at LeBron, and I look at the first 10 years of his career. He never seemed comfortable with the ball in his hands with 10 seconds left to go in a game. Didn't want to be that guy.
You know why, though, right?
Tell me.
Can't make free throws.
Well, he's never been a good shooter.
Yeah, but free throws.
Yeah.
So if you have the ball in your hand at the end of the game and you get fouled, now you're on the free throw line.
Yeah.
Everybody watching, ain't nobody guarding you. You're expected to shoot that.
Sure.
He was never comfortable.
Towards the end of his career, his shooting has been much better because he doesn't want to take the ball to the hoop as much because he's getting older, which I understand. I never saw him as that killer guy. Now, he is an unbelievable talent, a physical specimen, especially at his age now. And what he did with Cleveland, winning a championship there, it's incredible. But, he goes to Miami. He plays, with Bosch, and, he plays with a couple Hall of Famers. Some people, like I have Marcus Banks in studio, and he thinks LeBron is the best player to ever play the game. And obviously you would disagree with that too, but you would possibly put him in the top 5.
Yeah, I think so. But if you ask me, if in their prime, I could pick anybody that ever played who I would start my team with, I think it'd be Magic. Because Magic is
best point guard of all time.
He controls the game. He has the ball in his hand. It's hard to pick someone that's a center like Wilt or Kareem, even Akeem Olajuwon, because they have to have someone has to pass them the ball.
Right.
So they can make other players better by kicking it out and doing that stuff. But Magic can do it from the get-go. When he has the ball, I mean, I used to marvel at and acknowledge that every game when Magic was running the Lakers, when they were the highlight of Kurt Rambis always had 8 points in the first quarter. Always in the first quarter. He'd run to get a layup, he'd get a backdoor because Magic was feeding him because he knows after that Kurt's going to just rebound and play defense and be physical the rest of the game. Here's your 8 points. Thank you. Good. Okay, move on to Kareem. Get him the ball.
Kurt Rambis, there's a character. We talked a little bit about fighting back then in the NBA. If you talk trash, it could end. What are some of you've been in a few? What was like the biggest skirmish you were in your NBA career? And who was it?
Evidently, I didn't like Charles's because Charles's. Anybody named with Charles I didn't like because I got in a fight with Barkley and Oakley.
Charles Oakley. Wow.
But and actually, I think they were both my fault too.
Oakley was arguably one of the best rebounders to ever play the game, right?
He's just strong and tough, and
Barkley a little more thick, right? But
but Barkley, Zion.
Sure. Yep.
Barkley is Zion before Zion.
That's an interesting comparison. Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
Undersized but long. Barkley's 6'4", but his arm span is like 7 foot. So that's how tall you play.
So what spawns that? Let's start with the Barkley fight. What hard foul? Like what starts?
We were playing I think it was a playoffs or something, and I was guarding him, and something, it's getting physical. But then he took the ball out. We made a shot, and he took the ball out, and I think I cheap shot elbowed him. So I'm running down the floor in the Mecca in the playoff game. It was packed, and everybody, no noise, quiet. I'm like, something's wrong here. So I turn around, stop at half court, and he's coming right at me. So he throws a punch and hits me with his forearm, and I glaze him with my elbow, and I go down and get back up, and they separate us. Here's the thing, though. No foul. No technical, no foul.
Don't you love that back in the day?
The refs separated, said, hey, guys, knock it off.
That's all they said.
That's all they said.
And you guys are throwing punches.
And we're like, but then after that, I kept, every time I got, hey, man, I'm crazy, man. I'm going to take you. I'm crazy, man. You better watch out.
He said that to you, or you said that
to him?
You said that to Barkley?
Yeah,
does he respond to you?
No.
He doesn't say anything. Did he ever?
Who's this crazy guy?
Did he ever mess with you again after that?
Not really. I mean, it's been on ESPN. Shaq stood up for me a little bit. Why you punching Mokeski's a good guy and everything. But if I ever had a chance, I would actually admit that it was my fault. But
how about the Oakley situation?
It was it was a regular season game, and we got caught into the basket garden, and our elbows got high, and I think I clipped him in the back of the head. And he turned around, and unfortunately, Michael Jordan had my arms pinned behind my back, and he popped me right in the nose, broke my nose.
Oh my God.
And blood was flying everywhere. And Don Nelson back then, Don Nelson used to wear a fish tie, a tie of a
right.
fish. And he came out there, and he was mad at me. I'm like, what? You're getting blood all over my tie, man.
That's what Don Nelson said to you.
So
you got Michael Jordan, arguably the best player of all time. He's holding your arms
from behind,
which is dirty in itself.
Well, he was trying to break.
And then
it up.
Oak just gets a shot and just gets you in the face.
He was trying to, because the rule that players don't understand that if there was a skirmish on the floor, you don't grab your own guy.
Right.
You grab the other guy.
Right.
Because that's what happens if you grab your own guy.
Right.
But he wasn't. He was trying to break up the fight.
So does he get suspended for that? What happens?
I don't think so.
Nothing happens.
I think I got fined about $500. You got fined.
That's what they fined people back then. 500.
Yeah.
God, that is incredible.
But the thing is, I left. I think I was kicked out whenever. So I went to the hospital with my wife and in the waiting room, and I know what the doctor is going to do. He's got those long prongs that he's going to put in your nose.
Awful.
That's terrible. And I'm waiting there, and I'm looking at the freaking prongs are right there, and he gets them, and I'm going, oh no. And he goes like this. He goes, hey, he broke your nose straight. We don't have to use these. I'm like, oh, good.
You got lucky.
I got lucky.
And then it's interesting because you got blood coming down your face, and Don Nelson, his first reaction isn't, "Are you okay? Let's get you some help." It's, "Stop getting blood on my."
You're bleeding on my fish tie.
What do you make of that guy? Like Don Nelson, now all he does is, I hear he smokes weed all day, and he just hangs out and does nothing. Like
he plays poker and plays golf.
That's it, right? And smokes weed all day.
In Hawaii, he grows his own weed, and who he plays with? He plays with Willie Nelson and Alice Cooper. He plays poker with them.
Oh, what a game that must be.
And plays golf with them. And he's living the best life. Don Nelson is such an underrated coach. I mean, I played for Lenny Wilkins. I played for Chuck Daly. I played for some great Dale Harris. They're all Hall of Famers.
Former Laker coach.
Yeah. And, Don Nelson he was an innovator. He had small ball before anybody had small ball, and he had point forward before anybody had point forward.
Was there a coach where you say to you just named some legends right there, but a coach where you say, "Gosh, I really didn't want to play for him"? Is there a coach where you look back and you say, "I didn't really enjoy playing for him"?
Not really. Musselman, Eric
Senior,
Bill.
Yep.
He was a great coach.
Coached the Warriors, right? For a while.
He coached the Warriors. He coached me in Cleveland for a little bit, and he coached at Minnesota University. He's a legend, and rest his soul, great coach. but he was crazy.
Just like his son. His son's crazy too.
Well, you're not even compared.
No comparison.
Because I know Eric really well. But,
Eric's a great coach too, by the way. He's doing a hell of a job.
That training camp with Bill Musselman was insane.
Now we know where Eric gets it from.
We practiced 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night. We ran suicide.
Wait, hold on a second. What? You coach you practice 6 hours a day?
Absolutely. And we run sprints.
That's insanity.
I was so tired. We were staying. My roommate was, I think, Scott Wedman. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of the night one night, I jumped out of my bed and got in a defensive stance and was yelling. He's like, "What are you doing?" That's how tired I was.
That's crazy. 6 hours a day of practicing. That's unbelievable. For people that don't know of you besides your NBA careers, you've been coaching for a very long time. You've been coaching. You were an assistant in the NBA. You've been the head coach of many different teams, minor league basketball, whether it be the CBA or even recently you coached right a few years ago as well. I mean, you've been doing this for a very, very long time. Is it hard to adapt to some of this era and these younger guys, the millennial era, I guess I'll call it?
Yeah, I mean, I've coached. And I coached in the old CBA, like you saw me in Hartford, and I coached in Quad City, and then I coached in the D League. That's now the G League. I coached in RGV, which is the Rockets team in Texas, and I was the head coach in Reno, up north here, for a couple of years in the D League, G League. I've coached internationally with the Jamaican national team, and then 3 years with the Great Britain team, and I coached in the 2012 Olympics in
Your
London.
experience is unbelievable. Why do you think you've never been offered a head coaching position in the NBA?
Well, I think coaching business is really fickle. It's not your resume; it's who you know a lot of times, and it's perception. And my thought is, and sorry if there's a little bias here, but as a 7-footer, you're known as a big guy that runs up and down the court, and the point guard tells you what to do. So if you look over the history of the NBA, even college, how many former point guard coaches, Doc Rivers, Scotty Brooks, Steve
That's
Kerr,
interesting.
and now look at how many 7-foot.
You're right.
Bill Cartwright was a head coach. Kevin McHale was a head coach, but that's about it. I mean, two names that really stick out to me that should have had head jobs in the NBA that never did: Jack Sikma, who was an assistant coach in the NBA for 15 years, and Patrick Ewing, who was an assistant coach for almost 20 years, and had to get a head job at Georgetown as well, because I think it's perception.
I never thought of it that way. That's so interesting to me, and it makes a lot of sense, right? You think of a point guard as the floor general. You don't necessarily think of a 5-man or even a 4. That's so interesting. I never heard that before, but it makes a lot of sense.
And the progression of the game, I don't like some of it, but I like some. I like the open floor. I learned international play. NBA is now international combined with NBA. It's open floor, draw and kick, maybe one guy in the post flashing every once in a while, which is fine with me.
But Paul, do you feel like in today's era, people don't? It's not even necessarily they don't respect the head coach. They don't even respect the head coaching position. Because I was talking to Jeff Van Gundy last year, and he told me, he said even when he was the Knicks coach, with Ewing and all those guys, he would tell the guys, listen, you don't have to respect me, but I want you to respect the head coaching position. I feel like guys like LeBron and there are stars out there, and they're actually more of the head coach than the actual coach themselves. Do you feel that way, that in this era, some of the stars, they don't show the respect towards the head coaching position that they should?
Yeah, I think, and a big part of that is business. So when back in the day, the head coach made more than any player, right? Now that's not
anymore.
Now it's the opposite. There's probably the starters on every NBA team make at least double what the head coach makes. So that gives that perception. So, and quite frankly, in business, in NBA or coaching business, if you're talking about an NBA team, if you struggle, first people that go are assistant coaches.
Yeah.
Fire him, get another guy, will change. Then the head coach, then the general manager, then the players. Right. That's how it works. Yeah. It used to work players first.
Right.
If it's not working, we're getting rid of this player.
Because I look at the Lakers, right? I look at LeBron brought Russell Westbrook in. I think we all know that by now, but he's never going to own that. What's happening in LA the last several years is bad for the NBA, in my opinion.
Well, it comes with the money they're getting paid and the movement that they can make freely now. It's like the transfer portal in college. You can move. There's guys going to 4 colleges now. You can just move. And I saw a quote, or I listened to somebody, a college coach, I think it was Michigan State coach, basketball coach. And he said, players in college now are not allowed to fail and learn and grow, because if they're struggling, they just leave and they just go somewhere else. And that's a problem.
I hate to use this term, but do you feel like it's almost like the wussification with these parents, right? Because Larry Eustachy's a good friend of mine, and he got fired at Colorado State for absurd reasons. Yes, he was using some swear words and some not so very nice words to motivate his players. A lot of coaches do that. He was having a losing year. Some parents complained to the athletic director at Colorado State, and he was fired. That would have never happened even 10 years ago, certainly not 20 or 30 years ago. I feel like players are pampered today.
Well, you know why the university is afraid? Because they're going to get sued, right?
Right.
There's going to be a lawsuit. They're going to cost them millions of dollars. So it's easier just to fire the coach, probably. And here's a thing to think about. Like, I coached when I played. I played in high school, college, pros. When I coached in all those. But back then, if a coach told you to go run through a wall, you ran through a wall. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, in my perception, you tell a player, hey, run through that wall. You got to tell them why. Why do I have to run through that wall? Well, there's money at the end, or there's scholarship at the end.
And then what do you make of these players that are sitting out? Well, you didn't get that in the 80s. Guys that are sitting out, getting ready for the playoffs. You have families that are spending a lot of money to watch these games, and you see a guy like Kawhi Leonard who's not going to play, or whoever, especially towards the end of the year. I find that to be a little bit disgusting. And they're complaining about these back-to-backs. You guys never complained. You did it.
We played 3 in a row.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, and without the travel stuff that they have, you mentioned Mark Cuban because you were with Dallas right on the staff. Like, they didn't have today what, back then as they have today. You guys didn't complain.
You get on a private jet, you have a masseuse, you have a trainer, you get ice, you get whatever food you want to order, all that. But my concern is with the fans, and this is going to hit the fan when the agreement, the NBA agreement is coming up next year. Mm-hmm. And the owners are not happy with players being able to move willy-nilly, and they're not happy with the load management thing that's going on, because here's what happened. You hit it on the head. So if I'm say I'm in Minnesota and the Lakers, no, that's bad. So say I'm in Miami, and the Lakers come into town, and LeBron and AD decide not to play. Right. And I have my 3 kids that I spent $500 for tickets and food and parking, and those guys don't play because why? Because of load management. Can you imagine Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird? They played through injuries because they knew people were in the stands watching them. Right. I mean, you only get one. I mean, if you don't have a lot of money, I mean, I won't pay for a ticket for an NBA. I mean, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
So I sacrifice. Maybe it's a Christmas present I gave my son.
Right.
You're going to go see Michael Jordan play. And then you get there and you sit down and your son's like, where's Michael Jordan? Oh, there he is in a suit over there.
These guys are killing each other in the NHL. You don't see even that today. Guys are playing. You don't really even see that in the NFL much as well.
Well, they used to, in the NBA, they used to have the injury thing, right? So, okay, you pulled a hamstring, you're back. Yeah. That's how they got. Now they don't even do it. But mark my words, that is going to be a strong stopping point in this player ownership agreement that's coming up.
I hope so.
Real soon.
I really hope so.
But that scares me, because then you're looking at potential strike possibility, and I think that would be the worst, because NBA did it right? Mm-hmm. Years ago, they decided, okay, owners, we sacrifice our body, you pay us well, you sacrifice money, but you make money. Some do, some don't. And when you sell, you do. Franchises are worth $2 billion. Right. So let's split the profit, because there's a lot of profit there. The TV deal is $8 billion or $10 billion, or whatever it is now. Yeah. So we're going to split that, and everybody's happy. The problem is, like NFL or baseball, they don't do that. And we're here in Las Vegas, and the Aces, the WNBA team, won the championship. But I hear that the women want to get equal pay.
Well, that's absurd.
Yeah, and because of money. But I think one of the Aces, I can't remember the point guard.
Chelsea Gray. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she brought up
Plum.
Yes.
Yeah.
She said, we're not necessarily looking for equal pay as NBA, but how about the same agreement where we split 50-50 with the WNBA owners? So
the problem is the WNBA has lost money 26 years in a row. It makes absolutely no sense.
That's a problem.
And listen, I'm not a chauvinist. I love going to WNBA games, all due respect. What business, Paul, we only got a couple minutes left here, but what business that has been running for 26 years, that has lost money every year, says, oh, we're just going to pay our employees more money? The product does not make money. All due respect, the only reason why the WNBA exists is because of the NBA. Let's call it for what it is.
And you can say the same thing for the G League.
Absolutely.
Almost every team in the G League loses $1 million a year. But
because,
the NBA,
I mean,
there's a purpose for it. So
yeah, I mean, listen, I love the Aces. I enjoy going to games. But so tell me before we go here, tell me what you got going on now. I know you used to do this. Do you still doing your podcast?
Yeah, we have a podcast Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's on Facebook Live. It's called We Got Next.
I like it.
And Ricky Hampton is the announcer guy, and Derek Gervin, Ice Gervin's younger brother, is on that.
Right.
We talk NBA, we talk college basketball, we talk some NFL. I don't know as much, but
I love that.
And we talk a little bit else. And we have great guests on. We've had Jack Sigma to Sidney Moncrief to two guys named Ice Gervin and Dr. J on the same show.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can find us on Facebook Live, and we're also on Spotify, Apple Radio, and all those other podcast situations. And we have great conversation, and I love doing that. I'm on Cameo now, so
I saw that. I saw your video.
If you want,
get Paul McCaskey to give you a shout out.
Yeah, if you want a shout out or tell you you're not good enough to play, tell one of your friends he's not good enough to play in the NBA. Any of that.
I love that.
Yeah, and I'm working on a couple other projects, maybe a screenplay with it's a basketball kind of thing with a little twist in it. So I'm just kind of keeping busy, loving living in Vegas. I love basketball though. I'm helping out a high school team here, and
that's cool.
I'm around. I've loved the game of basketball since I was a kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed to play in the NBA for 12 years, and I was fortunate to not ever. Well, I've had a couple real jobs, but not really because I've been coaching. The money wasn't always great, but my life was. I never felt like I was going to a job.
And you've always enjoyed what you've done.
I
admire that a lot.
Even in Hartford, when I went to my little hole-in-the-wall office down there and had my one blackboard with chalk, whenever I drove in there and parked and went to my office, I never felt like I was going to a job.
I love that, and I admire that. And you are fortunate, but you also worked hard to your entire career as a player and as a coach, and I commend you, and I appreciate that. Well, Paul, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. When you were the head coach in Hartford, I'd love to have you on again sometime. This has been a lot of fun. Great conversation. Paul McCaskey, everybody. Honor having him in here. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the head coach of UNLV, Barry Odom, will be joining us next. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. World's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Colorado Ranch, just off Union Road, half a mile east of South Montecito, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a snub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey, everybody. It's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
The best choice for convenience, comfort, and value, My Place hotels are ideal for both short-term and long-term travelers. The rooms at My Place features pillow-top mattresses, microfiber bedding, and a variety of soft and firm pillows. All extended stay rooms offer their own kitchen, which includes a full-size refrigerator and a cooktop. On-site laundry facilities are also available for extended stays at pet-friendly My Place hotels. Book your stays online at myplacehotels.com. My Place Hotels, St. George and West Jordan, Utah. Make My Place your place.
KSHP listeners, never miss a moment of your favorite shows when you're on the go. Download the KSHP app on any Android or Apple device. Get the app in the Google Play or App Store on your device by searching for KSHP Las Vegas. Download the app and listen live from anywhere in the world. You can also listen online at kshp.com. Hear all your favorites like Brian Blessing, Harvey Hyde, and the world-famous radio shopping show. What could be better than that? For more information about the app and how to download it, visit kshp.com.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is KSHP 1400. Thank you so much for joining us. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. And, you know, I'm really excited about this upcoming UNLV football season. I really am. I don't know if I've said that in a little while, but we got a new head coach in town. And we had UNLV's athletic director, Eric Harper, on yesterday. And the new head coach is Barry Odom. He's been around for a very, very long time. Really excited to have him here. And the new head coach joins us right now on the line. Barry, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Brian. What's up? Doing great.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much for having me on. I was looking forward to connecting with you and glad we have a chance to visit here a little bit this afternoon.
Well, it's nice of you to say. I appreciate that, Coach, and I'm so glad you're here. I guess let's start with the breaking news, right? The new hire that you have, Bobby Petrino, as the new offensive coordinator. Tell me about this new hire. You must be very excited about it.
Well, I think, unfortunately right now, nothing really that I can report on just yet. We're really working hard, tirelessly to continue to work on building what this staff is going to look like. And as soon as we get everything in a position that we can talk about and get guys in position to be hired, then I would love to talk about what the staff will be and the makeup on what that's going to look like for
sure.
for our program moving forward. I'm really excited about maybe some of the opportunities of the guys that will join us.
So help me understand this, though. Is it not official yet?
That would none of our hires are official yet.
Fair enough. Okay. So maybe we'll have you back on when you can comment on it and when that is official. Let's talk about you. My understanding is you actually reached out to UNLV. They didn't reach out to you first. You reached out to them. That doesn't always happen. Tell me why you did that.
Well, I think number one, in the world of making a coaching change and what that looks like, the idea of when that job comes open, every administrator and every usually program in all of every conference has always got an idea of, if they make a change, who would be someone they would want to target. And I've learned over time in those situations, I really don't want to leave anything to chance. And I looked at and studied from afar this program, and when the job came open, was urgent in making sure that I got a message to Eric Harper. And fortunately for me, we connected early on, and we're able to have a conversation about what his vision was and is for our program and athletics department. And was great alignment in my belief as well on what I think this place will be. And we really hit it off, and was excited about that and the opportunity to continue the conversation. And, fast forward however many days it's been, we're here today and moving it forward every step of the way.
So, Barry, obviously there are a lot of reasons perhaps why UNLV football has not had a lot of success the last couple decades. I think one of them is UNLV hasn't really had much of an identity. And you coming in here, I've been hearing from so many different people, the defensive mind that you are. Is that what you want this team moving forward to look like? The identity of physical football, complementary football. Let's do it on the defensive end first. Is that the identity that you want to see with this team?
Well, I think number one, you look at what is our program and how can we build it into what is the DNA of who we are. And I think you look at being a disciplined team that plays aggressive on both sides of the ball, play with relentless energy and spirit, and we play together. I think offensively, if you look at the years I was the head coach at Missouri, we finished the top 10 in the country in total offense. My first 2 years, I think we were 13th in the country. My third year, so we're going to be explosive on offense. We're going to stretch the ball down the field. We're going to have the opportunity to control and run the football. That's so huge in the game today, is being able to run the ball. We've got to be able to establish what that's going to look like for us. It all revolves around the importance of the quarterback position and how important that is. And then on defense, we've got to be aggressive. We've got to be disciplined. We've got to be accountable to each other. We've got to play with relentless spirit and energy. And then I think, really, Brian, if you look at it, the X factor for us, we've got to make a huge step in special teams. And the emphasis that we're going to place on that, I'm excited about being a huge part of that as the head coach, and them understanding how important that phase of the game can be on helping us win football games.
One thing I love about what you said in the press conference, Coach, and usually when you hire a new head coach, they don't want to put a lot of pressure on themselves. Maybe they'll use the term rebuilding, but this is a UNLV football team. Yes, you've lost some players, sadly, that have transferred, but this is a team that did win 5 games this past year. And you said it yourself. No, this is not a rebuilding situation, right? So listen, I know this is a tough question for you to answer. I mean, man, you just got here, Coach, but what does a successful year one under Coach Barry Odom look like? How would you answer that?
Yeah, this will be a long answer, and I'm not dancing around the question. I'm looking at it from a scope of taking everything in for the last 8 days. I think in any job, whether you've been there 5 years or 8 days, the urgency to build the program. Every team right now is going to end up going through a rebuild. That doesn't mean the urgency of winning right now is not at the forefront of that. You've got to rebuild your roster every single year. Take collectively the group that you've got coming back. And I want everybody on our team right now to be here when we kick the ball off in 2023. And then we're going to add pieces around that. So what does success look like? It looks like it's going to happen in very short order. It looks like the urgency that our staff and our entire organization has to build this program the right way and give our student athletes the opportunity to be successful in every area. And then at the end of the day, we want to win. We understand that we're judged. It's a results-driven business. We're judged on wins and losses, and we're going to understand that. That's the way we're approaching every single day. We've got time, but we have absolutely no time to waste. And for us to be able to go and win football games, it's going to take everybody locked in together, embracing and galvanizing the city, and understanding that we can do special things here, and that's our plan.
And look, Coach, I understand you don't even have a staff together yet, right? And you haven't been able to evaluate every player, and there's so much work to do. I totally understand that. But if a fan says to you, Coach, do you think it's a reasonable expectation in year one to try to make a bowl game, what would be your response to that?
Absolutely. Give me a chance and let's go to work together. And I'm asking for everybody's help to go get that done. I'm embracing the opportunity to live here. My family is as well. We're going to be entrenched in the city. I want it to be Vegas's team, and I don't know why we can't make it that. So my plan is put on fast forward. We're going to go to work. We're going to do it with great urgency in the right way, and with the direction of our leadership with Eric Harper and the vision that we have on the way this is going to go get done. I'm sure excited. I'm more excited now than I was 8 days ago when I took the job, just because I see the opportunity here. I've had a chance to be around our players and our student athletes. We're building the staff the right way. And, we know that there's tremendous opportunity here, just like this city was built on. And I'm honored and fortunate to have a chance to be in charge of the football program.
Love that answer, Coach. If you're just joining us, he is the new UNLV head football coach. He is Barry Odom joining us right now on the line. Coach, I've already heard rumors, and maybe you could answer this one for me, that you've already reached out to some local high school coaches. You've already been to some high schools, even though you've had not much time to meet with every player, and you've gotten so many things done here in just a week. Is that true? Have you already reached out to some local high school coaches here in Vegas?
Well, I think the number one thing you understand is there's great high school talent here. There's tremendous coaches here. There's great high school football programs here. And I want all of the guys to understand, and people that are part of their programs, that anything that a student athlete wants to achieve in college, we're going to get done here. You don't need to go somewhere else. Let's make it our town. Let's make it our city. Let's make it our team. So the urgency of that on building relationships and real relationships, the only way to do that is time and work. And so I've tried to divide the days up into meeting with every person on the roster individually. They've got finals. Some guys have been out of town, so some of them have been over the phone. Doing that in the mornings, meeting with staff and making decisions there. But then also in the afternoons, I've tried to free up some time to get out. I've been to 14 or 16 high schools. I don't remember what the number is.
That's
a
lot.
My goal is to hit every single high school, once the recruiting calendar goes back live. And it's not a one-time deal. They've got to understand that I want to build it right. I want to build it together. I need them. When we get practices started, hopefully every practice that we have, we're going to have high school coaches here and prospective student athletes. I want them to see what our brand is. I want them to be a part of it. And if we do it the right way, then UNLV is going to be a destination spot for kids in the city on where they want to go to school, and we're going to go win championships together. That's the goal. That's the vision. And I've got a really good foundational blueprint on how I think we can start to build that the right way.
Coach, I applaud you for that. And I don't want to talk about the last regime, but I think you've been to more high schools already in 8 days than the last coaches have been in 3 years. I mean, that's a testament to you. And that's really important. I'm so glad you get that. And being to that many amount of schools in 8 days, I applaud you for that. I think that's just incredible. So give me your reaction the first time. I don't even know. Have you even stepped foot into Allegiant Stadium yet?
I have. We had an official visit weekend with prospective student athletes on campus last weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On Saturday, we did a quick tour of Allegiant, and obviously one of the finest facilities in the entire world. And for us to be able to call that home, it was an experience that I will never, ever forget in my life, walking in there for the first time on the vision on what that place can be. It's as first class of any facility ever. And the understanding that it's my responsibility to make sure that that we represent this program the right way when we play in there. We've got to make it and create a home field advantage for ourselves. And I sure look forward to the opportunity and the challenge to get that done.
The facilities, not just Allegiant Stadium, but all the facilities that you've seen thus far, I would imagine you must be pretty impressed with what former coach Tony Sanchez and what the Fertittas have done. What are your thoughts on just that on campus? Not even talking about Allegiant Stadium, which I agree with everything you just said about Allegiant. What do you make about the facilities on campus at UNLV?
Well, I look at one of the main reasons I'm here is because of this facility. The complex is off the charts. It serves our student athletes in every way, from academics to the social component, to the ability for the functioning. If you put yourself in the shoes of a student athlete, what does their day look like in all the things that we ask student athletes to do, and from meetings to sports medicine to academic resource center, to all the things that we ask of our student athletes. It's a one-stop shop, and you can get everything done here. And I think it's top of the line. It was designed very well. And obviously, when I had an opportunity to see this complex, it showed me the support on what is here and the opportunities that are here. And that was just another reason that I wanted this job.
Couple more quick questions for you, Coach, and then I want to let you go because you've got a lot of work to do, and I don't want to keep you from doing that. But you've talked about your vision. Where do you see, under your leadership, if everything works the way you want it to, where this program is at 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now? Where do you see this program being at down the road?
Well, I believe, number one, that the areas that we're going to transform and change student athletes' lives socially, and putting together a plan for them for the next 40 years of their life. Now, how important that is getting out into the real world when football is over. I look at it as being able to connect with the city and having it our team. I also look at it from an academic standpoint and making sure that we've got our graduation rate, that anybody comes to play for me and our program, the emphasis on academics and how important it is to get a degree from UNLV. That's so important and is life-changing and generational changing for their families. And then I look at the competitive spirit and competitive excellence on where I want this place to be, in the vision of winning championships and being an elite program that is recognized across the world of college football.
I love it. I just want to be clear on this because I want to share accurate information with my listeners, and I apologize if I'm asking you the same question again, but I just want to be clear on this. What you're saying right now, nothing is official yet with Bobby Petrino. I know you said you can't really comment on it, but I just want to know, is it unfair for me to say that he is the offensive coordinator because it's not official yet? I just want to get that from you so I'm reporting it accurately.
Yeah, you're doing a really, really good job. And like I mentioned at the beginning, and all due respect, it's really nothing to report just yet. I'm continuing to work tirelessly to build and put this staff together. And as soon as we have a staff that we can talk about, I would sure love to have a chance to come back on your show and visit about each one of them at every position and how they're going to be great members of our athletic department, tremendous leaders for our student athletes. And they're all going to be guys that want to be in Vegas and represent and dive into being part of this city.
And Coach, I know how glad you are to be here, and that is so important. I love Eric Harper. I think he's done a great job, and I really am glad he hired you because you seem like the right guy at the right time to move this program forward. Can't wait to see what happens this upcoming season. I know you have a lot of work to do, Coach, so we'll let you go. I do appreciate your time very much, and I really do look forward to having you on again. And really happy you're here, Coach, and you're now officially a Las Vegas local. How does that sound?
I love it. And you say it a little bit louder because I'm fired up to be here. Thanks
All right.
so much.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. That is Coach Barry Odom. Thank you, Coach. Have a great holiday.
You bet. You too.
Thank you. That's Coach Barry Odom. God, I just love the way he answers my questions. I'm going to be honest with you. And I didn't want to get into this with Coach Odom. I remember the first time I talked to Coach Arroyo, I was not impressed. I didn't like the way he was answering questions. He seemed very robotic. I can't believe what I just heard from Coach Odom. Think about this for a moment. He's been in town as the head coach of UNLV football for 8 freaking days. He just told me he's been to 14 to 16 high schools. Are you kidding me? That makes me smile. And it makes me understand that he gets it. He understands how it's important not only to be in the community recruiting, he gets it. Now, I applauded Eric Harper for firing Marcus Arroyo. I don't root for a guy to lose his job and his livelihood. That's not what I'm talking. I'm just saying it was the right decision. We had Eric Harper on yesterday. I'm going to tell you right now, I have not said this about UNLV football since I've been in this town. I have not said this about UNLV football since I've been on the air, which has been 20 years. I have not made the statement that I am about to make right now. This guy's going to win here. I truly believe that. This guy is going to turn the UNLV football program around. I truly believe that. I'm not blowing smoke. Anybody who knows me knows I am really hard on UNLV, but I'm honest. And that's why some people at UNLV don't like me, and that's fine. I'll always be that person. I love the job that Kevin Kruger is doing with the UNLV basketball program. I love the job that Coach LaRocque is doing with the women's basketball program. I'm excited for both of those programs. Guess what? Both head coaches are good people. Didn't say that about Marvin Menzies. I didn't say that about TJ Otzelberger. I didn't say that about Marcus Arroyo. Tony Sanchez, great guy. Great guy. Dave Rice, great guy. Didn't get it done here. You could make the argument Tony Sanchez maybe deserved another year. Fair argument. I like everything about what I'm hearing about this guy. Now, I understand he was a below 500 coach in his conference, very difficult conference. He won half his games. I get all that. But he won half his games playing really good football teams at a pretty high level. He's been a head coach at a very high level. Can't say that about Marcus Arroyo. Can't say that about Tony Sanchez. Couldn't say that about Bobby Houck or Sanford. This guy's been a head coach at a big-time program, and he won half his games. I understand some people don't want to make, jumping jacks, but I love and I believe this team's going to have an identity. Defense. They're going to be physical. You look at these UNLV teams, whether it be Arroyo or Sanchez or Houck, they were soft a lot of the years defensively. They were soft. Teams were going through them like butter. So I think UNLV football is going to have an identity. He's done more in the community in 8 days than Arroyo did in 3 years. That is just the truth, folks. That is a fact. Arroyo would not embrace the community and recruit locally and reach out to coaches. This guy has done more in 8 days than Arroyo did in 3 years. And that tells me that this is the right guy for the job, and he's going to get it done. We weren't going to get that flashy coach. I know everyone pipe dreams of Deion Sanders, just like Rick Pitino was never going to come here. That was never going to happen. So you might say to yourself, well, not going to put butts in the seats, not a flashy head coaching hire. Who cares as long as you win? Kevin Kruger is winning right now. And I know it's only his second year, and I know the argument. He hasn't played a lot of good teams. Fine. That team is playing hard. They have an identity. The basketball program, just like Lon Kruger back in the day, this UNLV basketball team has an identity. And it's defense, and it's working hard and being respectful and doing all the right things. That's the UNLV basketball, not this let's run attitude that Dave Rice had when they couldn't play defense. UNLV basketball has an identity. Again, they haven't had one in a long time. And I believe the UNLV football team has an identity. Listen, I could be wrong. Let's see what he can do. We all need to give him an opportunity. I like him. I like the hire. I like it a lot more now than I did 8 days ago. And Coach Odom just said it. I'm more excited about being here now than I was 8 days ago. I think he's being genuine when he says that. And I'm being genuine when I say it. I like this hire a lot more now than I did a week ago. I really do. When I hear he's been to 16 high schools in 8 days, it means he gets it. The community. He's met with every single player individually. Did TJ Otzelberger do that when he got hired here? Was he going out to all the high schools? And no, of course not. Was Marvin Menzies doing that? No, of course not. I like what the UNLV athletic program has done. I like what Eric Harper has done. And I feel really good about the UNLV football program moving forward. Maybe they don't make a bowl game next year. I don't know. but I like the way he answered my question, because I'm always going to ask coaches those kinds of questions. He's willing to put the pressure on himself in year one. Yes, we should make a bowl game. Yes, that's a fair, goal. Listen, he's going to have to work his butt off. He's going to have to recruit this offseason. He's got to get his coaching staff in place. I don't know whether these reports are true or not, but if Bobby Petrino, if those reports were completely untrue, I'm pretty confident that Barry Odom would have said that. I believe in his answer. It's not official yet. They're working out some sort of contract, and it hasn't been signed on the dotted line. I know Petrino has had his issues with the intern and the lie, and I get all that. I am 100% behind hiring Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator. These guys worked in the same conference together. They would work well together. Okay, so he had relations with an intern. He's not Chris Beard, okay? Yes, we don't want to hire a guy like that. Petrino, he probably lied about it. He had his, you can call it an inappropriate relationship with an intern. Fine. Hire this guy. And I understand that Odom can't confirm anything yet, and I totally get that. And that probably is because nothing has been signed yet on the dotted line. So let's wait until that happens. But I'm saying if it does, which I hope it does, I think it'd be a great hire. Great offensive coordinator hire, in my personal opinion. You have Petrino running your offense. You have a guy, Odom, who is a defensive-minded coach who's been at Arkansas for years as your head coach. I tell you, man, I'm really excited about that. I wish their first game was this weekend. I'm really excited. I haven't been this excited about UNLV football in a very long time. I know you might be saying, Brian, hold your horses. It could be the same old UNLV football. I just disagree with you. I think this is going to work out. This is the most positive I've been about UNLV football in 20 years. Right now. Now that could change, but right now that's how I feel. And, we also have to support both UNLV basketball programs because these coaches are doing a hell of a job. Kevin Kruger, LaRock, they're doing a hell of a job, and they have a big game against San Francisco. And, I'm going to the Las Vegas Bowl on Saturday, but I've already, in my mind, I already know right after that game, even if I have to leave a little early, I'm going to catch at least the second half of that UNLV basketball game against San Francisco. No question, I will be there. I wouldn't have made that effort, under TJ or Marvin Menzies. Not that it matters. Nobody cares whether I'm there or not. I'm just being honest with you. It's just, you got to support these teams. Let's give this guy Odom a chance. He seems like the right guy for the job. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the program. And let's see what happens. You know what else I'm really excited about? Professional lacrosse. I've never seen a professional lacrosse game. And we got this new organization called the Desert Dogs. Great name, by the way. Their first game is tomorrow night at Mandalay Bay. The head coach is Sean Williams. He's going to join us next. Oh, yeah, you got some pretty famous people that own this team. The great one. No, I'm not talking about that idiot Mark Levin. I'm talking about the great one, the real great one, which is arguably probably the best hockey player of all time in Wayne Gretzky, although Alex Ovechkin is pushing to be that guy. But Wayne Gretzky is part owner of this team. So is Dustin Johnson, the professional golfer, the owner of the Nets also, and Steve Nash, the former NBA great. So this is exciting. The head coach of the Desert Dogs, Sean Williams, is going to be joining us next. Really looking forward to this. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey, everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. So glad you can join us. Boy, what a busy sports weekend we got. We got, of course, we got the Raiders that are playing at home on Sunday. We have the Vegas Bowl on Saturday, UNLV basketball, the Knights. Guess what? We got professional lacrosse, the inaugural season. I've never seen a professional lacrosse game in my life. The Desert Dogs at Mandalay Bay tomorrow night. This is really exciting. Of course, I mentioned the owners, big names in sports, Wayne Gretzky, DJ, of course, Masters winner, the owner of the Nets, and, of course, Steve Nash. And I'm really looking forward to this. I grew up back east where lacrosse was huge. I remember our high school lacrosse team was pretty darn good, but I've never seen a professional lacrosse team in my life. I'm very excited to have the head coach of the Desert Dogs joining us right now to preview the game tomorrow, talk about the team. Sean Williams joining us right now. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Excited to get this thing going.
Yeah, this is really cool. So talk to me a little bit about how this came to fruition for you when you were offered the head coaching position.
Yeah, it was quite a lengthy process. I was with Colorado Mammoth in our league, and I was assistant coach there, and I asked for permission to reach out and to apply for this job. And sure enough, we got it.
This is a pretty exciting place, right, to be coaching this team in Las Vegas. Tell me about your time here so far. What are your thoughts on the arena, of course, at Mandalay Bay, playing on the Strip? This is pretty cool.
Absolutely. It's amazing. The Mandalay Bay Arena, Michelob Ultra, it's a perfect size, I think, for lacrosse, and I think we're going to pack that place, and it's going to be rocking.
Isn't this so Vegas, right? I mean, Coach, you got Wayne Gretzky, Dustin Johnson, Steve Nash, just to name a few of some of these co-owners of this team. How cool has it been to be able to talk with them, meet with them, and kind of mingle with some of the best on the planet?
It's quite amazing. They are the best at what they did, and putting themselves in front of us and taking a chance on us. They've opened a lot of doors, and it's our job to now keep those doors open and open more.
Coach, I don't think people understand or realize how physical this sport is. But can you explain to me this league and how the rules are very different than, say, your normal college lacrosse game? Explain to me the rules in this league and how it differs from your regular college lacrosse game.
Yeah, well, first things first, the college game is on a football field where we're playing in a hockey rink on turf. So it's really closed in. Not a lot of space, the time is taken away. So it's, you're getting hits on every single possession, every single play. And it is rough, but the athleticism that our guys show, offense and defense, is amazing. And, people are in for a treat.
So you're looking at, explain to me if I'm wrong on this, anywhere between maybe 20 to 25 scores a game. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Average score would be like, 13, 12.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of goals.
So that's a lot of action and a lot of goals.
Absolutely.
So explain to me this, a lot of people in some ways compare this to hockey in the physicality of how physical it is. There are fights from time to time, although you don't want that to happen. That does happen because it's such a physical sport. A lot of similar eye-hand coordination, I guess you could say, right? There are some comparisons there, right?
There's definitely some comparisons, but we do, it's a very specialized sport where, the offense plays offense and then they change for the defensive guys. They come out. So you're in and out of the bench, you're playing a 25, 30-second shift, then you get off. So that's the big difference between hockey. And then watching the offense, it's a lot like basketball where picks and screens and, pick and rolls, 2-man games. So there's a lot of aspects of that. And then you got some real big open field hits like you do get in football.
So I would imagine just about every player on your roster, for the most part, I would imagine, are accomplished college players. Is that a fair, accurate assessment?
You know what? We are now getting into that realm where most are. For a big part of our league, it's been mostly Canadian box players, but now a lot of our Canadian box players are playing at big time colleges as well, and we are starting to see a bigger influx of American-born players that have played at big time, U.S. colleges. We have 3 or 4 guys on our team as well, just to kick that off.
So explain to me this league that you're in. How many teams are in this league? How does it work as far as the playoffs go? How many games? How many home games? Give the fans that are thinking of going out to the game, some of these games this year, just how many games and how do the playoffs work? How does this league?
Absolutely. So we're the 15th team. We have 7 teams in the Western Conference, and there's 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. Playoffs is top 4 from each conference move on. Like football, we have an 18-week schedule. That's similar there, and you're pretty much playing once a week. So every second Friday or Saturday we'll be at Mandalay Bay pretty much.
I love that. I think that is so cool. If you're just joining us, he is the head Desert Dogs head coach, new organization, the Desert Dogs. Sean Williams is joining us. Their first game is tomorrow. I know that there's a VIP event tonight where people will get a chance to meet Wayne Gretzky and other members of ownership. So what is the practice schedule like for you with a team like this? Are you practicing every day, every other day? How does that work?
No, it's a working man's league, that's for sure. So our guys are all flying in. We have some local guys that have moved into town, but most of our guys are flying in as we speak. And they'll get to the rink we'll get together around 8:30, watch some film, and then hit the floor for 9 or 9:30. And that's just the way this league goes, especially when a Western-based team. It's a lot of flying guys.
Yeah. Sean, what do you make of this city? I mean, I was just talking to the UNLV head football coach who was on last segment. I mean, of course, you got a Raiders game on Sunday. You've got UNLV basketball. You've got the Las Vegas Bowl on Saturday. I mean, this has turned into, I've been here 20 years. I know you just got here, but this is turning into one heck of a sports town, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. It's sensory overload. Every time our guys get into town and our coaches, it's there's something for everybody. And, the sports fans here are unbelievable. Like they just seem to gravitate and grab everyone and let's go. And that's what we love.
Yeah, no question about that. All right. So I guess this would be my last question for you, which would be this. For somebody that has never seen a professional lacrosse game before, they're thinking of coming out to the game tomorrow, as I will be there. What should fans or sports fans in general expect if they're thinking of coming out to the game and they've never seen a professional lacrosse game in person, as I never have as well? I'll be there. I'm really excited. What should fans expect?
You're gonna see a full event, and each week we're gonna be bringing a full event. So it's not one of those. It's not like a hockey game where you get 2 or 3 home games a week. We are coming, just like we said, we're coming in hot. Every game we're gonna be coming in hot, full events, lots of stuff to do. We got music playing while the game's going on, similar to basketball. There's going to be a lot of action, in the stands, on the floor, everywhere. It's going to be great to be there.
Well, Sean, I'm really excited, and we want to get as many people as possible at the games, especially tomorrow night. Glad you're here. Glad you were hired. You certainly have a tremendous amount of your resume and experience with this sport, and we wish you the best of luck and go kick some butt tomorrow. All right, let's get that first game.
Absolutely. Let's go. Thank you for having us. And yeah, go Desert Dogs. Let's go.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate your time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That is Sean Williams, the head coach of the Desert Dogs. Yeah, right. I love it. So tonight they're having this VIP event, and Wayne Gretzky's going to be there. I believe Steve Nash, and kind of interesting. The owner of the Nets is part owner of this team as well. Well, we all know the issues he's had with Kyrie Irving over the course of the last month or two. It's been a little stressful for him. I would imagine he's coming out to Vegas, and he's going to have a little bit of fun. Like I said, I've never seen a professional lacrosse game before in my life. So this is going to be a cool experience for me, and I think it's going to be probably a cool experience for all of you. I would hope if you're thinking of going out there. And the tickets, by the way, are very reasonable. These are guys, by the way, that also have full-time jobs doing other things, like these players, right? And these are guys that all have full-time jobs. This is not a full-time thing for them. Obviously, it is for I would imagine, for the coaching staff. But this is pretty cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think it's I don't think. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait, especially the VIP event tonight. Last time I saw Wayne Gretzky, he was in the Michael Jordan charity golf tournament here. I don't know what happened to that tournament. I don't know why Jordan doesn't want to come here anymore. I guess he's he's worried he's going to lose too much money at the blackjack tables. I don't know, but it's really amazing what this town has turned into. I remember I was this dumb 22-year-old kid. Some would argue I'm still dumb, and that's fine. But I was this dumb 22-year-old kid coming to Las Vegas. My first job in radio, and we had UNLV here, right? It was UNLV basketball and UNLV football. Sure, the entertainment was still here. We didn't have anything that we have now. And, I'm doing a show 10 years ago, and I'm talking to Foley about maybe getting an NHL team here. I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did. And the Vegas Golden Knights have been a tremendous success from a standpoint of how well the organization is doing financially, the fan support. It's been an unbelievable success. The Raiders are always going to be successful from a financial standpoint because it's the NFL, whether they're winning or losing. We got the soccer team here. Now we have a lacrosse team. The Las Vegas Aces have been a tremendous success from a standpoint of ticket sales. Them winning the WNBA championship certainly helps. And this brand new arena, Allegiant Stadium, is beautiful, and we can hold any event in the world. We have the hotel rooms to do it. It's very exciting. But when I first came here to Vegas, we didn't have any of this stuff, right? The place was the Thomas and Mack Center. They had the NBA All-Star game at the Thomas and Mack Center. That didn't go over too well. But I give Oscar Goodman a lot of credit for bringing that All-Star game here, which kind of put us on the national map. And the NBA is right around the corner. Let's just be honest here. It's only going to be a couple of years before the NBA comes here. We got that new arena that's being built on the 15. That will be where the NBA team plays. It's not going to be at T-Mobile Arena, I don't believe, but we're going to get a team in several years. I'd be shocked if it took more than 3 years to have an announcement of an NBA team coming here. Major League Baseball will probably be the last. We will get a Major League Baseball team, but that is very tricky. You need a stadium. You need a team that's willing to come here. I don't know if that's going to be the A's. Probably not. We know that Major League Baseball would work here. There's no question about that. Look at the Aviators. Look at the crowds they get. Even when it's 110 degrees outside, the crowds are phenomenal. The ballpark is beautiful. It's a great organization. Of course, we could support a Major League Baseball team. We could support anything out here. It's just a matter of time and putting it all together. So yes, I was wrong. I thought we would get an NBA team first before the NHL, certainly before the NFL. I thought the NFL would be the last, but now the NFL seems to be embracing gambling because they have a piece of the pie. Roger Goodell is the biggest two-faced person you'll ever meet. Anti-gambling. Oh, really? How's that working out for you now? You got gambling commercials, gambling sites as sponsors. So when the money's there, it's okay. Same thing with marijuana, right? It was always a no-no. Weed was always a no-no until the government got a piece of the pie. Oh, no, weed is fine. It's safe. It's great. It's the way life works, right? You get a piece of the pie, then everything's okay. So it was fun talking to Paul McCaskey, 13-year NBA veteran. A lot of fun catching up with Barry Odom for the first time, UNLV's head football coach. And, of course, Sean Williams, the head coach of the Desert Dogs. But I want to share a story with you real quickly before I go. I haven't really got into politics or news. And listen, COVID should not be about politics. As I've said from day one, shouldn't be whether you're Republican or Democrat. We should all be together. And, anybody that knows my personal story, it was 2 years ago. I believe it was 2 years ago today, if I'm not mistaken, that I was released from the hospital with COVID. And, if not for some really good friends in my life that saved my life, I wouldn't be alive today. And I think about that all the time. And I think about what I had to go through, but I also think about all the other people and the families that are struggling because they've lost a family member or a close friend due to COVID complications. I think about that all the time. I was at a casino the other day, and I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a host at one of the casinos. And I said, "How you doing?" And she said to me, "Not good." And I said, "What's wrong?" She's like, "I have long COVID." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, I got COVID 8 or 9 months ago, and I'm still on oxygen. I'm still struggling to breathe. I have heart problems." And of course, when I hear something like that, my heart breaks for people like that. People in this country don't understand. Just because you survived COVID doesn't mean you're back to normal. There are people in this country that are still struggling. And it kills me and it breaks my heart because I had to go through. Luckily, I wasn't put on a ventilator, but I was very close, and it breaks my heart. And it gets me so angry when I see people like Ron DeSantis going after the CDC, going after Dr. Fauci. We should have never worn masks. We shouldn't have closed anything down. I have no patience for you buffoons out there that think like that. Listen, there were no winners here. People lost their businesses. People were hurt financially, not just in this country, across the world. But there are people out there like the Joey Gilberts of the world that are complete nimrods that think they're doctors that have zero medical experience, that just have an R next to their name. So they think that gives them a degree in going after Dr. Fauci and real medical experts. Yes, you'll find a couple medical experts, they call themselves experts, that are trying to sell a book or sell something. So they'll make their appearances on Fox News or right-wing outlets so they can sell something, and they'll contradict what 99% of infectious disease experts say so that they can make headlines and sell a book. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the frontline doctors, the nurses, the ones that saved my life. Those are the people that I'm talking about. And I think about them every day because those are the people that saved my life. And they are dealing with COVID again. And while it's nowhere near where it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there are still people that are getting COVID every day. And there are still people that are dying. And there are still people like my friend that are still struggling every day, struggling to breathe, that have heart problems. So it brought me back to that when I had a conversation with my friend the other day. It brought me back to that. And we need to understand that. And if somebody wants to wear a mask, don't make fun of them for wearing a mask. They have the right to do so. If they want to protect themselves or protect others, they have the right to do that. And yes, masks do help. Are they 100% foolproof? No, but they do help. And the studies show that. And maybe you could find some study from Israel or some study out of 1,000 studies. You'll find 1 or 2 that say masks don't work. They're wrong because masks do work. And it's why surgeons have been wearing masks since the beginning of time, since masks were invented. Masks do work. They're not 100%, but they help. But, these are the types of discussions I've had over the course of the last several years, and they get me very, very angry. They get me very, very upset. Not just because I care about people and I don't want people to die or get sick, but I was one of those people myself. I was in the hospital for a couple weeks. I was in the ICU. And to be honest with you, I've had we all have our difficult moments in life. And I've had mine. I've had my share. But one of the most difficult moments of my life professionally was having to deal with people that I had to see every day that claimed that COVID was a hoax. That people that I had to work with or that I had to see every day said masks don't work when I was literally in the hospital thinking I might die of COVID. It was very mentally challenging for me, and I am glad I am not in that situation anymore. But people are entitled to their opinions. We're not going to agree on everything, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And the fact of the matter is that COVID killed over 1 million people in this country. Over 1 million people. And yet there are still people in this country that think it was a hoax brought on by the Democrats. Very frustrating. And now I see Ron DeSantis, who will most likely be one of the front runners on the Republicans to try to become the next president. Don't think he's going to win. Don't even think he's going to be representing Republicans. But I believe people like Ron DeSantis are disgusting for a lot of different reasons. But for starters, how they make COVID political. This should have been something that we came together as a country, both Republicans and Democrats, to try to conquer. And instead, it started with Donald Trump. 15 cases down to 0. It's a hoax. Let's inject yourself with Lysol and disinfectant. Medical misinformation is the worst. It's one thing to attack our democracy. That's bad enough when it comes to the election integrity nonsense that many of these Republicans talk about. But what about medical misinformation? That can kill people. And it has. There are still people on the air in Las Vegas. Wayne Allen Kook goes on the air and claims that millions of people have died from the vaccines. That is a lie, and that is a dangerous lie, because some of his idiot followers are going to listen to that and take him for his word, and then they're not vaccinated, and some of those people have died because of that. You have blood on your hands, and yet there are radio stations in this town that allow that sort of rhetoric to be put forth on the air. Medical misinformation. And it needs to be called out. Period. It needs to be called out. The vaccines are extremely safe. Half the world has taken the vaccines. If the vaccines were so dangerous, we would have actual evidence and proof of that. There is none. Every vaccine has, I guess you could say, risks. But these vaccines are, for the most part, extremely safe. But yet, if you put on Fox News over the course of the last few years, if you put on Newsmax or OAN or any of these ridiculous networks that are right-wing echo chambers, they will lead you to believe that COVID was never as serious as it actually was. And many of these idiots, some of whom I've interviewed, like Mark Robertson, who ran against Dita Titus, who got embarrassed and lost, who I told you that would happen, or many of these other morons that have run for office or still in office. They want to go after Dr. Fauci. Elon Musk goes after Dr. Fauci. And it's interesting because I talk about this all the time. And, I put stuff on my social media, and I find it to be very interesting that many of these people will go after heroes like Dr. Fauci, but will defend Donald Trump. Doesn't that say all you need to know right now about where the Republican Party is at? Let's attack our heroes like Vindman or Dr. Fauci, but let's defend people like Stephen Miller and Donald Trump. And I know if you're a Republican, some of you will be saying, well, that's not how I feel, and I commend you for that. But a lot of Republicans do feel that way. And it's wrong. You need to be called out. You need to be called out for your actions, your behavior, and the things you say in medical misinformation. Clay Travis, who took over for Rush Limbaugh, who, by the way, the world is a better place without Rush Limbaugh. I know he died of cancer, but he was the cancer because he spewed it on the air every day. The world is better without Rush Limbaugh. With that being said, Clay Travis took over for him. Clay Travis once said that he didn't believe 100 people would die of COVID. 100. Has he ever gone on the air and retracted that statement? Has he ever gone on the air and apologized? Why is that dangerous? It's dangerous because people listen to people like him. He has a big platform. And when they heard people say things like that, they didn't take COVID seriously. Some of those people died. Some of those people died because of Clay Travis. Some of those people died because of the right-wing buffoons that are on the air, that some people listen to them and take them for their word. You have blood on your hands. Some of those conservative talk show hosts died of COVID, by the way. 5 or 6 of them. I don't celebrate that. But there has to be accountability and responsibility for the things you say on the air. I know I haven't always been right with everything I've said on the air, but when I say something that's wrong, I own it and I admit it. But usually it's not, actually, I shouldn't say usually, never is it medical misinformation or saying things because I have an R or a D next to my name. I might be wrong about UNLV football. If I am, I'll own it. I could be wrong about, a prediction on a game. I'll own it. But not when it comes to medical misinformation. The vaccines are safe. COVID is real. It always has been. A lot of people have died. And I have no tolerance for people that continue to spew conspiracy theories and lies. It could be about the election. It could be about COVID. Whatever the case may be, I have no respect for you if you're one of those people. And I never will. And that's how I feel. And I'll always tell you how I feel on the air. I'll always be honest with you. And I'll always share for you, my opinions. I have an opinion on everything, and I'll always share that with you. And I'll always speak from the heart. That's what I always do on this show. I want to thank my guest, 13-year NBA veteran Paul McKeskey, UNLV head football coach Barry Odom. I appreciate him joining us. And, of course, Sean Williams, the head coach of the Desert Dogs. I appreciate all of them taking the time to join us. Hey, we got some great guests lined up for you tomorrow, including a guy that used to be on the Vegas airwaves. He moved and he got a real job. Spence is going to be joining us from back in the day, Chet Buchanan in the Morning Zoo. He's going to be joining us. I believe we have JJ joining us from Morning Blend as well. So we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic day. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of